Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. Welcome to the Facebook Live. It is the 27th of January, year 2021, and here we are welcoming you, wanting you to join our Facebook Live. If y'all can join the live session as it is going, and pose your questions, we would be more than happy to answer those questions as well. I'm here with our normal panel. We have Kelly, who's our Qigong teacher, Eileen, who keeps us all streamlined. She does an incredible job at it. Hello, Eileen. Travis, who's a musician and a spiritual teacher. Welcome, Travis. And Caesar made it. Welcome, Caesar. He's Caesar. You have to give you a background once more. I know you do spiritual teaching, but
okay, I'm more so a channel. I do readings, and it's more spiritual guidance than it is, than I would more consider. I do mediumship on occasion, but it's rare. So I would just consider myself more of a spiritual teacher, and I offer guidance through channeling sessions.
Awesome.
Thank
you, Caesar.
Thank you.
I think Marla is looking for the link to the Facebook Live.
I was just getting ready to tag her. My Facebook is just slow.
Sure.
But I'll
Thank
get
you.
it.
Thank you so much. I didn't have very much of a really prepared question today. I was thinking of one thing that for the past 15 years, and it all is based on the intention we set towards the end of the year, right? For the new year 2021, we said we want peace, harmony, and abundance for all. And that's what I'm wishing for everyone out there, wishing for everyone here on the panel, that they get in touch with their that connection to source, where it just becomes a creative principle, and we bring in abundance. So for the past 15 years, my spiritual journey started 15 years back. And initially, I don't know if, I'm sure all of you have done some of that we tend to read a little bit of Wayne Dyer, a little bit of Dr. Deepak Chopra, a little bit of this, a little bit of Louise L. Hay. So one of the books that I had read initially was The Seven Spiritual Laws, The Spontaneous Fulfillment of Desires by Dr. Deepak Chopra. And during that, they had also released a meditation, which Oprah and Dr. Deepak Chopra do. And for the past 15 years, I have made these 7 laws, which is aligned with the chakras, and I'll explain the laws. I use them every day as an affirmation. So what I want the panel to do, and if we go through them pretty quick, then we'll move on to the next law. I want the panel, once I tell you the law, kind of align it with what would Eckhart say about that law. How does Eckhart's teachings apply to that law? Because it's universal. The law is universal. Yes, I may have heard it on a meditation with Dr. Deepak Chopra, but I can see how Eckhart also has talked about exactly the same thing. So I'll start off with the first one, which is the first chakra, the Muladhara, right? The color of the chakra is red, right? The first primary chakra is red. And the law is Om Priyam Namah. That means my action is in alignment with cosmic law. So, Travis, I want you to start with what would Eckhart say when we say my action is in alignment with cosmic law? Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Well, um, I don't know what Eckhart would say. Um, I mean, I could only guess. I could I could I could say look inside of myself right now and say what comes up for me around it. Um, so it, and again, it's my action is in alignment with cosmic law. Is that right? So,
You want me to
I
write
mean,
it down?
no, that's fine. I just wanted to just to say it once. Um, but you know, I mean, when I say those words, what comes up for me um, is an acknowledgement that there is that there is a kind of greater forces at work in some regard, in some way. I am but a small part of the whole, a very small part of this grand cosmic dance and movement. You know, out of that stillness that holds all of creation arises, and there are certain laws, observable laws, that if we look into life, and we can get a sense, even though it remains ever mysterious, we can get a sense of how things move and how things work. And I think it's innate in all of us. Um, we only come to realize it in our own time, that and this is my assessment and my interpretation, and I would recommend anybody attempt, you know, verify it for oneself and see if they feel that it's true. But this is just something that I recognize in myself, and I've been enjoying recognizing, is that I'll have certain ideas about certain things that I want. And lately it's been such a joy to realize that if it isn't in alignment with what life wants, I realize that no matter how wonderful it may sound, I don't want that. I don't want anything that would, if life is moving this way, I want to move with it. You know, I want to give myself to life wholly and completely. And so again, I'll just repeat it once more. Thanks for writing it down. My action is in alignment with cosmic law. So it's an acknowledgement of how things work on the relative scale, because action belongs to the relative. It emerges out of the vastness of space actions, and falls back into it, born out of, dies to, the and so it, you know, what it reminds me, like the other day I was sitting out looking at the sky, and I noticed this big beautiful blue sky, and it's not really blue, it's just reflecting back the blue, but it's a vast emptiness, and it's unchanging. And I can look away and look back, and it hasn't changed at all. But then there's these big beautiful clouds, and they just move whichever way the wind blows, and you can turn away for 5 minutes and look back, and they look like an entirely different clouds than they did a few minutes before. And I think that that's the relative aspect of who we are. There's the unchangeable, immutable reality, the absolute, which is the timeless dimension of who we are, and all creations, every aspect of life shares this twofold nature. And I know that Eckhart Tolle agrees with this, that there is which you could call the present moment, is the immutable, unchangeable spiritual dimension of life. And then there is, which would be the sky. And then there's the clouds, which is, for like Travis, is a cloud, you know, wasn't there, billows up, changes, goes this way. And whichever way the wind blows, hopefully I don't fight, whether or not I fight against it. I can't really. I can only do that in my mind, in my ideas, because these cosmic laws, these cosmic forces, it's like a great river flowing, and I'm just like this little twig floating down a river. I can surrender and go with it, or I can try to fight against it. But these powers are so grand and so great. Really, the only choice is to surrender in acknowledgement of these cosmic forces. So, so if we can observe the kind of majestic power and force and grace of cosmic law, and work with it and accept it rather than attempt to work against it, which is absolutely futile, perhaps, then we can, I think, reap more of the rewards of acting and living in surrender and living in harmony and acknowledgement of these great cosmic forces. So that's my response to that. So
Thank you, Travis.
Mm-hmm.
You said a lot, and everything is applicable. The one pointer that I took away was, if we are in alignment with the present moment, then that guarantees that we are in alignment with the cosmic law, right? So in that alignment, we are connected to source, and then source, it's not Travis that's doing anything. It's source working through the physical form, Travis, that things are getting done, right? You're just a vehicle that consciousness is using to flow through. Perfect. Thank you. Beautiful. Kelly, did you want to talk about this law? Why my action is in alignment with cosmic law? That's the first law.
Understanding alignment is really, really important. Again, you know, as Travis said, I personally would not know what Eckhart would say to this.
It's not so much as what Eckhart would say. Now that we know his teachings, how would his teachings apply to the same law?
Well, it's being present. I mean, the whole thing about understanding, identifying the ego so that you can step away from the ego and step into observation. The more you do that, the more you step into alignment with cosmic law. Understanding how to be present, how to feel that space inside of us, how to connect with the space of your heart, and that feeling of that space gives you an understanding of how to not be hijacked by your ego. And the less we are hijacked by our ego, the more we allow ourselves to come into alignment with cosmic law. So disidentification, a favorite concept of Eckhart's, is a key element to understanding how to come into alignment. The release of attachment, the release of all that emotional, mental energy wrapped up in attachment is the main thing to become aware of. And being able to feel that in our bodies, in our minds, in our hearts, allows us to disidentify or to detach from identifying with something that validates the ego and that keeps us in separation from cosmic law.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Kelly. And Eckhart says this, for the very first time, he realized this detachment or spaciousness when that lady that lost her ring, and she says, he walks her through, is your identity in the ring, or are you okay? Even without the ring, are you okay? And she says, oh, I now realize that there is some kind of space around my unhappiness. I'm still unhappy, but there's a space. And that seems to be like the detachment that you're talking about. That there's spaciousness in there. We can see there's reaction in us. We can feel it, but there's spaciousness, so we don't, the action reaction does not happen. We just let it be. We allow it to be as it is. So beautiful. So the second law, since there are 7 of them, I'll go through, like, that was the first law. And April and Caesar and Eileen, if y'all think of something in addition to, when I move from one law to the other, if any of you think of anything addition, just add on when I come to you. But I want to go through the 7 laws. The second law is Om Daksham Namaha, which means, and this is the law of least effort. And I think Eileen will have a lot to say about it. It says, my action receives maximal benefit with minimal effort. And I'll write it down. My action receives maximal benefit with minimal effort. And it is called law of least effort. And if you follow Dr. Deepak Chopra, he normally, one day of the week is the law of least effort. Caesar, do you want to talk about the law of least effort? My action
Sure.
receives maximal benefit with minimal effort.
Sure. So there's an old saying that you got to work hard for what you get. You know, the harder you work at something, the possibilities become greater of getting that. And I disagree with that fully, because through the teachings, through Eckart's teachings, and Deepak's and Abraham Hicks, and through the great law of attraction as well, that we learned if you are in alignment with what you're seeking, it is more possible to manifest that than actually doing something, instead of being, it starts with being centered in the present moment and being rooted in being. So there's not much doing to achieving when it comes to least effort. It's all, alignment and, the energy that which you project as far as the thought and the feeling becoming one. Makes that happen on an easier basis than actually striving and working physically to achieve that. So alignment, to me, through the teachings, have taught me that it is more important to be in alignment with what you want than to, swim upstream and go after what you want, instead of just, as Travis would say, flow with it, or just be still and hold out your arms and let the fish come to you. So it's not about working harder. It's about being in alignment with what you desire, and there's a real fine line there with manifesting things. You have to be careful with that, and what I mean is, if it is not in alignment with your soul, and it's more alignment with the outer you, it is not going to be more difficult to achieve. But once it is achieved, it's actually purposeless if it's not in alignment with your soul, with the essence of who you are. So I just wanted to touch on that, but I believe it is alignment. More so, and figuring out what you want and how to achieve it is just through the through the basic desire, which happens naturally, usually with a little contrast. Ask and is given immediately, and get out of the way. Marriage the thought with the emotion, and that's alignment to me.
Thank you, Caesar. Since you bring up Abraham Hicks so much, I remember almost every one of her videos, she talks about paddling upstream or paddling downstream. Are you going downstream? Is that thought or that belief taking you downstream, or is it taking you upstream? And upstream means efforting, right? So
she uses the cork under the water a lot too, I should say. Holding the cork under, she uses the cork analogy, holding the cork under the water.
Exactly, that's resistance, right? So all our lives, we have been, and this is what I'm going to bring to Eileen. I feel like my mother, my father worked very hard in their lives. She was hardworking. Like, she would wake up at 5, cook. She was a single mom, cook for 2. And in India, you cook every day, right? So she would cook our lunch and breakfast in the morning, do the laundry, shower, go to work, come back, and cook again, because in the evening, again, food is cooked, right? It's not like, okay, you can eat the morning food in the evening. So she was like constant, I saw her constantly efforting. But the law of least effort says we are co-creators, right? Law of least effort is telling me we really don't need to effort. If we are efforting, then we are not in alignment, like Caesar says, right? We are not going downstream. There's some thought or some belief that is taking us upstream. So all these obstacles are coming in our path, or all all these challenges. We are generating more and more challenges. So I'll bring it to Eileen. Law of least effort, Eileen. You want to talk about hard work and efforting?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, it was kind of like what my whole life was based off of until a year ago. My father was a hard worker and always was working, and that's what my whole family, prided ourselves on, being hard workers. And you put in the effort, and are seeking reward, and you gain reward through your efforts and your hard work. And last year I learned that that was just false programming. But I definitely have learned over the last year and a half that that's just part of resistance. And so for me, it's not so much that I wouldn't say it's not like you're, what would they call it, lazy, or that you don't try your best or whatever, but like um, what's meant to be will be. Um, and just really working through acceptance. Um, and so I find that it's not as exhausting. And it's more rewarding, because when good things happen, they happen because they were meant to happen, not because you were striving to accomplish something. Like Caesar said, it's like then when it is accomplished, it's almost like it's meaningless. um, it's like, oh yeah, I finally achieved whatever that goal was, and then it's like, yeah, but what purpose? And I'm a teacher, so I know that this is something that I'm now, taking to the next step of being able to um, share that thinking with my students. I never want my students to not try their best, but I also don't want them doing what I did. I don't want them constantly um, striving to be the best or something that they're not, or um, I want effort, but I want presence. I want effort and presence. I don't want effort in, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but that's definitely something that my class and I are working on.
So do you have an example of anything that you achieved without any effort, that it just happened? Like a
Um,
synchronicity,
yes. And something just, oh, yes. I don't know if I talked about this the other, probably not, with everything that's happened here with my father-in-law. Um, so I have been struggling with a decision that I had to make for my job, um, around the idea of retention. So retention is when a student is, kept in a grade for more than 1 year. It's not something that I typically do. I've done it once in 20 years. Um, what's meant to be will be, And so I've been struggling with this decision because I have this one student who's, you know, struggling significantly, but I wasn't intending on retaining her. Again, in our current life situation that everybody has going on, it doesn't seem like the best road. Struggling with this decision, and the parent actually requested a meeting with me. And so I was just going to talk about it, that I had concerns. And before I could say anything at the meeting with the parents, they said, let's just tell you why we requested this meeting. We really think we should retain our daughter. And I was like, wait, what? What did you just say? Because I'd struggled for weeks up to this meeting thinking, how am I going to have this conversation with them? And I don't think I want to do this. And but I do want to have the conversation. And then they requested it of me. And I was like, whoa, what just happened? But it's like one of those things that have kind of come up in my mind. It's like, if it's meant to be that I, you know, have her again, then obviously that was a sign from them.
Beautiful. Perfect example. And that's what law of least effort is, right? Like everything just flows. Eckhart, whenever he went to Greece, I think in 2017 or 2018, he talks about Heraclitus, or there's another Greek philosopher who talks about Panta Rei, everything flows. And I think Heraclitus, the most famous saying by Heraclitus is, you don't enter the same river twice, because nor is it the same river, nor are you the same man. And man meaning man, woman. During those times, everything was masculine, right? It was a patriarchal society. So thank you, Aline.
Welcome. And I actually wanted to add, I didn't want to interrupt before, but I wanted to add something that Gracie said in the
Sure.
comments on
Go
the
ahead.
first law
Law.
that you mentioned.
Uh-huh.
So she had said that Eckhart Tolle's manifestation video has something like, when my inner purpose is aligned with the outer, it'd be manifested effortlessly. So that's what she was sharing on that first one, which I thought was, it connected, obviously, but so that comes up in his manifestation video.
Awesome. Thank you, Gracie. The next one, so the second chakra that we talked about is orange in color, right? So the first one is red, the second one is orange, the third one is yellow, and the third one is Om Ritam Nama, which means my intentions and desires are supported by planetary intelligence. April, do you want to talk about my intentions and desires are supported by planetary intelligence? And I'll type it in the chat. Thank you.
Okay, so you picked me on this one in particular, right? There's a reason, right? Because my intentions are backed up by universe. Because this is probably one of my biggest struggles. So it's very ironic that you picked me.
You will find the answer. Look deep, dig deep, connect to source.
Yeah, I have learned that in my lifetime, to connect to source, to accept, to look for the deeper meaning, look for the gifts. And I have learned, as Eckhart has said, to take my challenges as gifts, not so much as why me, punishments. I just have bad luck. I've learned to take them as, okay, there must be a reason. But the idea of me being supported by source, universe, that is probably has been one of my biggest issues. So the fact that you picked me, and I think again, that's rooted in my core beliefs, because of the abandonment that I had in my lifetime. So when you have an intention, you have a desire, an intention is to me a choice. So there's that phrase that, the universe never gives you what you want. And then you stop and say, okay, well, that's nice. It's kind of like, you want in one hand and you in the other hand, never gives you what you want. It gives you what you choose. The universe gives you what you choose. I choose to be healthy. I choose to be happy. I want to be. Yes, you sure do. How does it feel to want? You do want that. But when you choose it, now you have set an intention, right? And when your intentions and your desires are aligned with your soul, they are aligned with your purpose, you do have faith. And that's one of the keys, is to have faith that it's there, that the universe is supporting you, that it's magically, and it is magically, energetically lining these things up for your desires, for your intentions to come true, for them to manifest. So I had an issue a couple days ago in my personal life. Well, it's not really an issue, but I made a choice that literally has pretty much, and I don't get knocked off my base very often, but I'm knocked off my base. But support came in the fact that one of the conversations I was having with somebody, this lady started randomly talking about hot air balloons. Just random. How she got in one, she was afraid. Now how she even owns one. My mother got married in a hot air balloon.
Wow.
My mother's on the other side. My mom died 6 years ago now. My mother and I'm like, that's kind of weird. And it's kind of funny how even though how long you can do this, how long you can have these beliefs, and the synchronicities still just kind of go, whoa, that's weird, right? That's the universe supporting the decision I was making, even though it knocked me off my base. It gave me lots of fear, which I don't usually have. So it does things like that. When your intentions are true, they're matched with your soul purpose, you're aligned. You just have to step back and just wait a moment and let those signs, like the conversation about the hot air balloon. There was a couple others. Actually, one of my very good friends, she's one of my deep, deep soul friends. She's her and I've done like Indian sweat lodges together and stuff. Contacted me at the very moment I was making that decision. She only contacts me when big things are happening. Right.
Beautiful.
So that is, I mean, that's my answer to that, is if it is meant to be and it is in purpose and you are aligned and you are open, the universe will support you. They will.
It is amazing, April. I was going to ask you for an example and you offered it without me asking. So how would a person know that they were aligned, that their intention was aligned? You gave a perfect example. That your mother from the other side kind of like spoke through this woman, right? Kind of affirming.
I mean, who owns a hot air balloon, for God's sakes?
And comes and talks to you for that day, that around that period of time, right? You have to take a moment to soak that in, right? That's an incredible experience. And I feel the more we acknowledge the intention, that when something of this sort happens, right? The fact that we imprint it with that acknowledgement, where you know that, yes, I was aligned, and out of my alignment, this came through, and I need to move, right? I'll give an example. So I've been trying to publish a book since last year. And somewhere mid last year, so I turn it over, I turn the manuscript over to the publisher. I go through the first iteration of editing, right? He says, we have a mutual friend who is a editor, copywriter. So he says, did you talk to so-and-so about editing your book? And I ignored it, right? A few weeks passed by, I did another iteration of editing, right? He says again, did you talk to so-and-so about editing the book? And the moment it happened the second time, I said, I need to contact this person. I put a stop to it. How much ever I had the urgency, you know, everybody's excited, right? Like they want, let it happen quick. Let me get through this book very quick. Let me do this real quick. You want to push through it, right? I said, no, stop. Now I'm going to contact this person. And I have not, I've left the job since 2006. So how many ever years, right? It's like, what, 14 years? I've not talked to this person. I contacted them. And then, and you know, it's like when you're in alignment, that person, the moment I said, would you be willing to edit my book? It's just 100 pages. It's not a very big book. And he immediately said yes. That shows the intention and the co-creator, right, Caesar? That's the co-creator. That the co-creators come, and these people, like my publisher is somebody that I met at that same job in the period of 2006. So it's been 10 years since 2006 to 2010, 2011. So it's been 9, 10 years since I've known these people. But one person became a publisher, the other one I knew as being an editor. And of course, he edited my book. And it took him a while because when I turned in the book in August, because of the pandemic and some personal problems, it took him 2 or 3 months to edit even that small a book. But I surrendered because I knew the alignment, right? It meant that the universe was telling me, not at this time. You cannot publish the book at this time, right? And finally, in October, I think he turned back the book. And then we went through another manuscript, like going through the manuscript, getting it in print format, editing it, and then sending it off. So beautiful example of how we know that that intention is in alignment with source. And that's why these 7 principles, I'm going through it because in 2021, if we can set these principles and follow them, it's going to be like propel yourself into a trajectory, right? You say, okay, now if I use these principles, I'm going to take off. So thank you, April. So Travis, do you want to talk about anything else that came up for you after April talked about my intentions and desires are in alignment with, my intentions and desires are supported by planetary intelligence?
Sure. Well, you know, I think just to hear like the story about the hot air balloon, it makes me reflect on some desires and intentions that I see arise within me, and then the way that it is reflected back, and you get that confirmation from what is it? I'm just going to look at the line there. You know, it really is from, you could say, planetary intelligence, because I mean, in my experience, life, it's unlimited in every way. So life forms are definable. They might have some certain shape or some certain color, but life, pure life, in and of itself, is unlimited in every way. And that's made apparent to me when I see the ways that life can speak to me and touch me on such a deep and subtle level through any means possible. And so even just the synchronicity I experience really each week with this panel, this conversation we're having right now, it's like it's a wind in my sails, you know. It's a and it kind of ushers me along, and it makes me feel loved and supported and kind of cradled by the cosmos, by that planetary intelligence. And it reminds me and lets me know that these dreams that are so these visions and intentions, they're so instrumental in the evolution of my soul, in my soul's reuniting with source, that I'm losing my train of thought now, but it just feels so supportive, and so much like love and a confirmation, and it helps me along my way in this journey that is challenging, because I have to keep shedding layers. I have to keep shedding all that isn't essentially me, as I return to the to that deep I, to the most essential reality of who I am. And so I honestly, I just feel very grateful to be here and be a part of this and hear these things. I have certain examples that come to mind, but they're they're so elaborate and personal. I don't even know if it would translate to share them. It would take too long to try to explain. But
You can do a Cliff Note version of the example.
okay. Well,
I know you made a decision a couple of weeks back about going into music. So let's hear the intention.
Okay,
so we can reinforce it
yeah.
for you. We'll apply it for you.
Sure. I can give a little bit of just what's been going on with me in these last couple of weeks, since that intention was, because I feel like my taking that step, it was my way of the universe, and this is just my own playful interpretation. I feel like the universe, we can say things and it goes, what did I hear? I don't know, maybe somebody said something, I'm not sure. But when we act, the universe goes, I heard you loud and clear, thank you. And it will help. That is a language that the universe understands and responds to, because it lets the cosmos, this divine interactive that we're playing with here, it lets it know that we mean business. And it goes, okay, you mean business? I'm gonna help you out, I'm with you. And so for me to make a decision like that, which was challenging because I love my meditation group, I love being able to sit with people for 30 or 40 minutes and then speak to what can't be spoken to for 15 minutes or so before we all share in group discussion. And the ways that it comes out of my mouth, I'm as astonished. More and more, it comes out in more refined ways, and I see how deeply it touches people. And I know that that's part of my path, is to be a speaker. And it gives me such tremendous satisfaction to interact in that way. So to let that go, for the time being, took a real leap of faith on my part to go, okay, I'm going to focus on the music part. And so, and it lets the universe know that I'm ready, right? By making that choice and announcing it on your page. Those are those first steps, and then the things start changing. And so what's happened since then, without divulging too much of my private life, there have been a couple of key things, things that have been moved out of the way, and I'm watching these big pieces shift so that I can really focus my attention on the music in the way that I really need to really let the light of life, the light of consciousness, just possess me and shine through me and shine through the music, so that timeless teaching can be expressed in a singable, danceable, enjoyable format that is really healing. And so, and it's just it's been really fun for me to continue to let go, and so, and I don't know, I guess I'm feeling that just that yellow color, right? That third chakra, kind of positive, bright, full force, almost like the sun or something, that through the middle of me shine forth. And I just feel like, I don't know, having this whole talk and interaction with all of us here is it's encouragement to me. So I don't know if I'm wandering off, if I'm not making a solid point here or what, but yeah, but it's just it's really fun to move with it. It's like I don't fully understand it conceptually. I feel, I love like when Eckhart Tolle talks about, like a peace that surpasses all understanding, or there are these great mysteries of life. They go beyond what the mind is capable of conceptually grasping. But if we trust and if we live in surrender, then we can move in these mysterious ways with life without having to understand. We don't need to, and they can be very fun. And so I feel like I'm more and more going in that direction, and it is tremendously challenging because all of the limitations that I've been identified with, I'm having to by and by let go of all of those things, all of the stories, the things that live in time, that belong to time. And I know that it's challenging because the realization of this music and this dream and all of this stuff is it's very instrumental in my blossoming and my flowering and the evolution of who I am. So there are those parts of me that maybe want to hang on, and that's kind of the struggle that goes on, and but it's not a bad thing. It's kind of a shedding of a metamorphosis, like go into a cocoon and reemerge almost a new being or something. So
I think Eckhart says, you're done, right, Travis?
yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
didn't mean to interrupt.
No. I kind of don't know where I'm going with all of it. So thank you.
Thank you, Travis. Eckhart kind of says about if he would not, I don't know if he talked about it during conscious manifestation course or somewhere else, but he says if he would have not written The Power of Now, then he would have fallen sick. Like if he wouldn't have made the decision to move to, so when you messaged me and said I need to focus on my music business, it almost felt like that power that Eckhart felt to get up from London and move to California or to the West Coast, to Vancouver, wherever he went. So it felt almost like that kind of a decision to me. There was that the yang energy was coming through you, and the creative principle, all it needed to do is focus on the music. So that's why you didn't see any hesitation from me. I was like, yes, that's okay. We can find other group meditation. And you can always, a couple of months or once a quarter, you can always come to the Friday meditation or the Sunday, because the same group of people
I plan to, yeah.
Are there. And Marla, by the way, loved your conversation last Facebook Q&A. There is a question. Actually, I'll come to the question. Caesar raised his hand, so I'll let Caesar express what he wanted to express. Go ahead, Caesar.
I just wanted to say, tap onto what Travis was saying. That was an awesome story, Travis. And I just wanted to add that it seemed like when you were absolutely clear of your intention But I think that clarity when you have an intent is really important, because if you're trying to obtain something without that clarity, I don't think the universe really is going to sort that out for you. That's your end of the job, is to support. You have the support of the universe, the planetary support in every way, but you have to be very clear on what the intent is in order to have that show up, I believe. And procrastination is always said to happen, not as a bad thing, because you weren't in alignment or weren't ready with it or ready for it. Yeah, and how do you know you made the right decision? Because you did. You made that decision. So, if you always feel like you're in alignment with what is, that's just the grid filling in, and that's validation. I appreciate the story, Trav.
Thank you, Caesar. And what Caesar said, I was about to say the same thing, Travis, because the way Abraham Hicks explains it, right? She says, if you raise your vibrational frequency to the frequency of alignment within our beingness, which is, she says, you match it up to your vortex, the grid, like it was, right now, you just know it as a framework, right? It's just lines and maybe like a skeleton, and then it'll start filling in automatically. Automatically, the director will show up, automatically other musicians will show up, automatically funding will show up, right? That is the grid filling in. Like the co-creators for what you need will come through if you were in alignment. And that's why this is so important, that my intention and desires were in alignment with and supported by planetary intelligence. Thank you. Beautiful example. Thank you, Caesar, for the great filling in. That came to my mind as well. That's so important. When, again, back to April's affirmation, the grid filling in is the affirmation, as we keep saying that, oh, I had that intention and this happened. I had that intention to buy tangerines, and now I have microseed that has tangerine in it, right? So every time we affirm that, yes, what was my intention is now in my hands. Like Lakshmi had wanted the chaga mushroom, and I sent it to her, right? That shows her capacity to manifest. So beautiful. So the next one is we move from the yellow to the green, the heart chakra, right? And it says Om Vardhanam Nama, which means I nourish the universe and the universe nourishes me. So Kelly, go ahead. What would Eckhart say around, or what are his teachings around I nourish the universe?
What you put out, you get back. What you give to the universe responds with. So in terms of being present, the more present you are, the more the universe responds and respects that. And the more you can actively participate in creating alongside the universe instead of being pulled along in the currents. And understanding the cosmic laws, understanding the realities of energy, because this is what this is really about. The energy that you put out comes back to you. And this is all about how we use our awareness. So whether or not we are, as Eckhart says, identifying with a specific trauma, pain, memory, and attached to it, and using that as our identity, that is what the universe will give back to us. It will reaffirm that choice. So when we are choosing to set an intention and choosing to act, it is vital to be aware of the space that we are choosing to recruit our energy from, so that our choice about the intention and when we put it out to the universe is done in such a mindful way that we are not identifying with pain and hurt and trauma, and we are identifying with the grace of the cosmic laws and the eternal now.
Awesome. Thank you. I think I don't know if it's in a New York, don't quote me which book, either The Power of Now or A New Earth. Eckhart says outflow determines inflow. The more we give, the more we get back, right? So what is the Bible verse? Somebody will have to correct me. I can't remember it. He says, Jesus said, give and it will be given to you. Something about the cup will run it over, right? Pressed down, shaken together, will be, right? So always outflow determines inflow. And you don't have to, I feel a lot of people think that it is charity. So I'll let Caesar, you want to explain what does it mean, outflow? I nourish the universe nourishes me. If you want to give an example, what are the ways? It always does not have to be money, right?
To me, the
Go ahead.
word nourish stands out in the statement. To nourish is to abide with passion and compassion, and treat everything with such compassion. So it's not about going at things in an aggressive way. I think it's going about things in a compassionate way in everything that you do. And then you will be supported in that way with compassion. So like I said, to me, the word nourish stands out. That is to feed of good things, perhaps. So that comes to mind. And what you put out comes back, but it's got to be, with tender, with tender thoughts. I believe. So what you do with compassion. In that way, the universe would reflect back to you in the same way with compassion. In a nutshell.
Thank you, Caesar. Eileen is very familiar with the I nourish the universe and the universe nourishes me because she does a lot of charitable giving. So you want to talk about what are the other ways in which the giving can be a giving?
Like examples.
Mhm.
Sorry, I'm reading the comments, making sure that we don't have questions. I guess one of our favorites here is just we call it like giving of self, giving of time. So helping someone out of an abundance of time or skill that you may have, or someone else may be feeling lacking in that area. A lot of times we'll talk about the idea of like poverty, and a lot of people think of poverty being only related to money, but it's not. You can have, poverty of time. You can have poverty in the area of, connection. So some people have a lack of connection, and that's more so what they're lacking in and really need from others. And so I do a lot of volunteering, and I do so through time, through skill, obviously. But I also, give out of my own abundance, whether it be, food or clothing or really anything.
What did you do for Christmas? The gift
Oh,
wrapping.
yes. So for Christmas, I had one of my former students. She was in my class like 6 years ago, I guess. But again, it's one of those connections. Connections are important to me. But her family did not have Christmas this year. Single mom, and 4 kids, but they didn't have Christmas this year due to some health concerns and mom not being able to be with the children. And so I found that out literally like on Christmas Day. And so I raised money and gathered items from people all over the world, and made Christmas happen for them about 3 days later.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Wow.
And that's what we don't have to have a whole lot of money to give,
Nope.
right? A lot of people seem to think that, oh, I don't have anything to, they come from a sense of lack and incompleteness and they go, I don't have anything to give.
They come from a scarcity mindset. And in the work that I do or the volunteering that I do, we work on a true abundance mindset that everyone has abundance. It just might not be the same abundance that, that someone else has.
And since I'm talking to you, it could also be appreciation and gratitude, just gratitude for the sky, like Travis was saying, right? Just looking at the sky, look at the richness of the blueness of the sky, right? If it's a clear day, the quality of air has been really good in Texas the past few days. So when it's blue sky, it's beautiful, beautiful, rich, deep blue. And look at the leaves and the vitality and vibrancy of the leaves. So the appreciation flows, and that is the outflow. It doesn't have to be money. It doesn't even have to be go do meals on wheels or go to Toys for Tots and go volunteer your time. It doesn't even have to be that. The outflow is a minimum of, can you smile at what Eckhart says, right? Can you smile at the cashier as you're checking out the groceries? Awesome. So we went through 4. There's 7, so 3 more. No questions, Eileen?
No, but I like the Candy just said the best present you can give someone is to be present.
Perfect. Thank you. So April, coming to you. The next one is Om Anandam Namaha, which means my action is blissfully free from the outcome. And I'll write it down.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's super important. That's, these are kind of all universal laws. We have the, law of allowance. We're going to allow things to be. And then the nourishing is, what you give is what you get, what you give out.
Love giving.
Yeah. And then this one is the non-attachment, not being attached to the outcome, which is something that I have personally had to work on really hard in the last few years of my life. And I'm at a stage where I'm pretty good at it now. There's a few times some things may, I think everything is a process. Everything is a learning process. But to me, the more you can blissfully give or do without attachment to the outcome, to me, that's true freedom. That's true freedom. I am now free because I'm not attached to whether it goes this way or it goes that way, or you do this or you do that or whatever. I am now free for it all to just be. That removes all my emotional attachments, my ego attachments. And that to me is really, that's one of the bigger, I would say, laws to me, that if you can master in this lifetime. And I think that's where a lot of our issues come from, is that we are attached to, are you acting the way I want you to act? Are you doing what I want you to do? Did you listen to what I said because my opinion is so important? I think this was one of the bigger issues. So, I'm trying to think of a quick example for you. I mean, I practice this almost daily, especially in my profession. I cannot be attached to the outcomes of what I do, right? I would be on the floor devastated if I was attached to everybody's outcomes. For goodness sakes, I'm a counselor and then I have 6 girls and 12 grandkids. 6 girls alone, I would be on the floor. I would never move, right? And so it's allowing others and things to have its own evolution and own space, and to be okay with that wherever that's at. Right?
Perfect. Perfectly said. Eckhart actually, this my action is blissfully free from the outcome is actually the fundamental law of the Bhagavad Gita, which is the ancient scripture from India. Bhagavad Gita Karma Yoga says, I renounce the fruit of my action, right? What does it mean? And Eckhart has a beautiful talk on how do you renounce the fruit of your action? Because what will happen is, as we are acting, we will be so interested in the outcome of the action that what he says is, because we are in the future moment of what is going to happen, am I going to get that car? Am I going to buy that car? Am I going to get the good deal on the car? Or am I going to get that job, not get that job, right? In that, oh, is this gonna, we do that kind of emotional energy and fear flows. That is such a beautiful, beautiful, I mean, the wisdom that he says about the fear flowing into what we do, and we contaminate the outcome. And it'll just get destroyed. Where we would have wanted the job, we won't get it. The fear will contaminate, will make sure the law of polarity, right? Quantum physics, the law of polarity will play. The moment we say, I want that job, I want the job, the intention is said, planetary intelligence wants to give us the job, but the fear flows, and then the fear creates the negative polarity, and boom, the job is gone, right? So anybody, like when they are that fearful, it's like, that's why presence, he says, you have to be so completely and totally in the present moment and do the action that needs to be done in this moment. Your next moment does not matter, this moment. If you're talking to me, like how he says in the New Earth, right now, you are not at your job, you're talking to me. So listen, talk to me, right? There's nothing else to be done. So very, very beautiful example, right? Caesar, did you want to talk about this law?
Sure.
Renouncing the fruit of the action, or my action is blissfully free from the outcome.
Blissfully, how you are doing something comes to mind here. With without any expectation, I think is a key word for this. And not sure if there is way you can really say there are outcomes to things, because if you have no thought of the outcome, that means, I mean, if you're in the present moment, consciously aware, there can be no thought of an outcome. That would be a future thought. So your mind would actually have to project there to do that. In addition to that, it's, outcomes to me, just, they don't ever happen, because it's that moment leads to the next, is going to bring you to the next and to the next and to the next. And the big picture, there is, it's just a means to an end when you think of it like that. And in reality, I don't think there are any, true endings, only beginnings per se. But yeah, no expectations is a beautiful thing. Yep. And you do things blissfully, just being fully. I always like to go off the Bashar one there, do what is ever most excitable, availably to you in the moment. And that will lead you to the next most exciting thing. And that's a great way to raise your, your frequency as well. And each moment will lead you to the next moment. But when you are centered in the present moment, it's impossible to have the future thoughts, of a destination, outcome. So the lack of expectations is key there.
Thank you, Caesar. And it's like, our mind may say, oh, I want the, let's say, Honda Civic. What if the universe had a BMW waiting for us? But just because our mind said, oh, I want a Honda Civic, we end up with a Honda Civic, right? So getting attached to the outcome, that's what happens. So yeah, she has an example. Abraham Hicks, since you bring her up, she has an example of somebody wanting to attend one of her seminars, right? They needed like $4,000 or something, and this person was like in alignment. She said, "I want to attend the seminar and let go of it." Right? She was walking in a park. She found a diamond ring, and she thought it was like cubic zirconia. But then she took it to a jeweler. It ended up being a diamond ring, right? So she had the $4,000 and ended up at Abraham's, Esther Hicks's seminar. So that's how much releasing the outcome. You set your intention and you release the outcome, and the universe provides. You don't know how it's going to provide. It can be your ex-husband that gives you the money, right? Or the brother that you hated and did not talk to for the past 20 years is the one that brings you the abundance, right? But will be in alignment. Okay, so, and this color is blue, the throat chakra, right? The color is blue. We move to the next one, which is like around the third eye. Its color is indigo. This is Om Varnam Nama, which means I'm in alignment and harmony with cosmic law. I'm in alignment and harmony with cosmic law. Kelly, did you want to talk about it?
Sure. The third eye is about vision, being able to see with clarity, and being in alignment and harmony with cosmic law is understanding what we see and why we see it the way that we do, which is all about not identifying with pain or trauma or the illusion or Maya that keeps us in separation from our cosmic alignment. The vibration, the energy, the feeling of violet is really important to understand. This is one of the reasons why colors are associated with these energy centers, with these spaces and these sayings, is because the energy of the color has a feeling to it, has information in it, has information that will help us see with clarity through understanding how we feel that color. So letting ourselves feel with clarity enables us to not identify with our ego, but to feel the clarity of our vision aligned with our harmonious space of cosmic law. My 2 cents.
Thank you, Kelly. Travis, did you want to talk about this? I'm in alignment and harmony with cosmic law.
Yeah. Well, I guess, yeah, I'll kind of follow what Kelly was saying there. I think there's, in all of us, there's a kind of intuitive understanding. There's a quality of seeing, and seeing clearly, and not just it's a kind of seeing that could be like equated to feeling. It's like not just seeing the surface of something, but seeing into the very depth of something. And as we do that, as our seeing penetrates into the very depth, to the most subtle foundations of what we're looking into, we also feel it penetrate deeply into us, into our being. And so it's that's why I think it's, you know, it's called, I mean, it's the third eye. It's a different quality of seeing. You know, we use our, I guess, our first and second eye eyes to, you know, they're able to perceive the reflections of light off you know, it off of the, in the most kind of gross or dense sort of way, right? You can see the material reality, which is more dense than that which is energetic, and so it's more gross, and so I just think it's a beautiful thing when we start to, there is a real kind of empowerment. It's almost as though we feel, you know, the divine intelligence in us, right? Because also in that space too, I think it penetrates and permeates our mental faculties. We can tap into a more refined or kind of divine intelligence in that way. And so through that quality of seeing, of seeing into the depths of life, and through all of these qualities that we're naming, that resonate throughout the body and resonate with these different colors in these ways, we're better able to because when it says I am in alignment and harmony with cosmic law, it's implied to say that I am in a that one sees that. So when we're able to see that, there's I think a peace that washes over us, and a certain confidence in life, a certain, you know, confidence in God, or confidence in all of this stuff, that when we recognize this deep alignment and harmony. So I guess that's what I have to say to that. It kind of goes beyond conceptual understanding. It's just, you just know it. It's just there, and you know it, and that's
Kelly is nodding.
Yeah,
Kelly's nodding.
yeah, it's something that we see it, we feel it, and we know it when we know it, and it doesn't need. I think ultimately, like when you hear Eckhart Tolle talk about in the distant future of our evolution, as we become less dense and more luminous, how I've heard him describe this vision of humanity, of our more highly evolved spirits, where we won't even need to use words. You know, that we could feel and see and have such an, you know, just live in this deep enrichment together, so much so that we don't even need to express these things in words. And to me, there's a part of that shared seeing that speaks to that for me. It's beyond just the conceptual thinking mind. It's like an enlightened mind or something. I'm not sure. So
Beautiful. Thank you, Kelly and Travis. To me, I'm in alignment and harmony with cosmic law. it's every present moment to every present moment, there's a check. Am I in alignment? Am I in alignment? Am I in alignment? Right? And then, as Eckhart says, life gives you experiences that are most helpful for the evolution of our consciousness, or however he says it, right? So I look at my experiences. If the experience is causing any amount of resistance in me, and it was beautiful. So we were going around during group meditation, and we were asking everybody for their input on Eckhart's video, and Lakshmi ended up saying, and that's exactly what I've been doing the past 5 years or so. She ended up saying, now all I do is work on my presence power, and I work on increasing my presence power. I don't remember the exact words. She said, I work on increasing my presence power, and I look at the resistance and work on my resistance, right? So the more we are able to, what Kelly and Travis said about being able to see with clarity that the experience of the present moment is caused by our resistance, right? And I am no longer in alignment and harmony with cosmic law because there's resistance, right? And my job is to erase all resistance. And that chapter 10 of The Power of Now, the meaning of surrender, the profound wisdom of yielding to rather than opposing the flow of life, right? So if the present moment is challenging, then where do I need to diminish myself? Where do I need to humble myself? Where do I need to lose the resistance so that I can humble myself and this challenge can go away, right? I mean, all of you know that I work in corporate America. So, I mean, how much ever there's intelligence, how much ever there's hard work. I mean, I've worked weeks where I worked 100-hour weeks, right? And what I saw was that I never got that VP position or the executive VP position, or nobody ever said, hey, let's move you up in management, right? So a normal human being without Eckhart's teachings would go, I'm useless, why am I, or change jobs, right? Like they'll go, oh, this job is not rewarding me. But I decided I would surrender. Whatever it may be, I'm going to surrender, right? And I have realized that never is a corporate America job meant for me. My job is what I do in my personal life. It's not so much as a job. This is what gives me joy. Being with all of you, doing the group meditation, servicing my Facebook group. I've been doing it for the past 5 years, giving and that nourishing the universe, right? The nourishing and we have infinite capacity to nourish. The more we stay in presence, the more we are already nourished, so we have the capacity to give, and the giving just, I mean, there's infinite capacity. It just keeps flowing and flowing and flowing. So I realized, so that's how, you can look at your experience, and the resistance can be, oh, why am I not becoming the VP, or why am I not being promoted, right? That kind of thing can come. But if the universe is not promoting you, why is it not promoting you? Because you were never meant. If the universe gave me success in corporate America, I would not be here. I would be doing that 100-hour job, right? So there is a reason to listen. And that's why Eckhart says, be in the listening mode. There is no petitionary praying. Don't pray to God, listen. Keep your ears open and listen to the universe. What is it doing? What is it showing you? If it's not giving you Like just like Travis made that decision, if I cut down my group meditation, yes, it is rewarding to give there, but my efforts need to be focused in a different place because that's what life wants to do through me. I cannot be, Poonam cannot be a musician. April cannot be a musician, right? Travis can, he has the skill, right? The vehicle was prepared to do that for you. And you're honoring what the vehicle was prepared for, right? Like if Caesar was told, no, you cannot be a drummer, what then, right? Something would have happened and he would have not been able to, something would have indicated to him that that's what he needed to be doing. So that's what I feel. I'm in a, this is like the most important out of all of them because all the others you kind of get it, right? That, oh, I nourish the universe, it's just giving, my intentions are matching. But this is a life lesson that, am I in alignment and harmony with cosmic law? That means there's zero resistance. Life is just flowing, just flowing. It's just going, right? No resistance whatsoever. Like if you ask for something, ask and it is given. That's the art of allowing. Abraham Hicks calls it art of allowing. Eckhart wrote a whole chapter on the meaning of surrender. That's why he wrote the chapter. And you will know, like when as the resistance drops and the river just flows, that it was that easy. Life was that easy. It brought in the law of least effort, right? Effortlessly flows. So thank you. Thank you, Travis. The last one is, so that was indigo. The last one is violet. It is Om Bhavam Nama. And this will go to Eileen. Since she's Miss Quantum Physics and Dr. Joe Dispenza, I'm a field of infinite possibilities.
Sorry, I'm trying to list them on the Facebook page too, because people are asking. I'm a field of infinite possibilities. My brain is so tired right now. I can't even think.
What would Dr. Joe Dispenza say about I'm a field of infinite possibilities?
Honestly, anything is possible. Anything. I don't know that what he exactly would say about it, but I know that I've experienced things myself that I never would have imagined possible, just through the whole idea of biology of belief, which actually is one of Dr. Bruce Lipton's books, but same field. But I think I've told this story before of like a chronic pain that I had for like 10 or more years of having this pain and receiving lots of different therapies for that pain over the course of many, many years. But it's like just using belief and gratitude in the fact that I wasn't necessarily experiencing it, even though I had been. It went away in an instant. 10 years of various therapies, and it was literally gone in seconds. And you know, it still blows my mind that it happened. But it's true. Just like anything is possible if it's meant to be.
You good?
Yeah, tired, sleepy.
Thank you, Eileen. Beautiful. Perfect example, right? That in our stillness, we are infinite potential. And in that infinite potential, we align with source. and the healing is there, right?
Yeah.
There was some limiting belief that was holding it back. The same thing if I'm in alignment and harmony with cosmic law, which is get aligned with source, and then I'm a field of infinite possibilities. I can heal, I can bring abundance, I can do anything and everything that is possible.
Absolutely.
So thank you, Eileen. So I will take the 7th one around for everyone. Caesar, you want to talk about I'm a field of infinite possibilities?
Sure. So to me, that would be that I am the space in which all things are possible. Being vibrational beings first and foremost, we know everything in the universe vibrates. We are an extension of source energy, and through that energy, all things are a possibility, which makes us ourselves possibilities. In accordance to Sadhguru. Yeah, so I think just the space that the DeFi retains is the space that all things are possible through me, through the great mind of God. Yeah, so all things are possible through this vehicle as a frequency, through a frequency, and by a frequency on which life is played out. So pretty simple.
And some people call it miracles, right? It's not a miracle. It's just that the potential was always there within us. It's just that life narrowed us down through our pain and suffering to that one moment where we had a one single intention and that manifested. Ask and it is given. It is always given. It's just that our vibrationally we are not up to that frequency alignment with inner beingness. There's resistance, and because of the resistance, the given is not received, right? That's why it's like almost like even the manifestation is raising your vibrational frequency up, and you're aligned. And once you're aligned, it's just given. Those are the infinite possibilities. Perfect. Thank you, Caesar. April, did you want to talk about the last law?
Yeah, I think everybody's, hitting on it. So if you look at the chakras, which this is, you have the lower 3 chakras, which are more physically related. They're not just physically related, but more physically related. And then you have the heart, which is the bridge. That's the bridge. That's the middle. And then you start to go to the upper 3, which are more parts of the ascension, connecting to source, figuring out who you really are, which is source. And they go up, the 12 chakras, you hit the soul star chakra, and the more ascension happens. But I think Caesar said it, because we are of source, therefore we are of infinite possibility. But with that though, I have to say, while I believe it is true. You listen to Joe Dispenza, he teaches that in his intensives, he creates that with people. But I think it's also, we don't really have time to like go into this extensively right now, but I will never be a famous baseball player. I just won't. Is that possibility there? I guess so, sure, because I am part of God, but I think we also, we can't include that in this discussion at this time, but I'm just not going to be a baseball player. I'm not the music player. I'm just not. So I think there's a little bit of a, soul trajectory there, or soul purpose involved. There is that idea that if you want something, it's because it's in your soul. The answer is yes. Ask and it will be given. So I don't want people to think that they can't do things, but at the same time, how do you, I don't know, maybe somebody else has that. Yes. How do I define that? Because I'm telling you, I'm not going to be a basketball player or a baseball player. I'm just not. I could dream of it, But the fact that I don't dream of it, I think, is because it's not aligned. So maybe that's the answer, right? It's not aligned for me, my soul. It's not something that I think about doing. I don't think about climbing rock walls. It's not my thing. So I think the infinite possibilities also need to be aligned with source, aligned with you and who you are, your goal, your mission for this lifetime. But is it possible? Absolutely. It's possible.
Beautiful. Thank you, April. Thank you for bringing that up. That the way Eckhart explains it, he says the vehicle needs to be prepared, right? If the vehicle is not prepared, like he gives his own example that if he were to become an Olympic, whatever he could do, curling probably, right? That's all he could do is curling, which is that little stick which with they clear the ice of the puck sort of thing, right? So the vehicle needs to be prepared. And then it takes 10,000, he repeats Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers. He says it takes 10,000 hours of practice. Even if you said my vehicle, so it's going to take Travis 10,000 hours of practicing his music, that finally, okay, now, they give the example of Beatles, they automatically came out, right? Whatever they created was so beautiful that the whole planet received it. So great pointer, April. Travis, did you want to say something about I'm a field of infinite possibilities? And then Kelly can wrap up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with what April said. I've noticed for myself, it's funny because I've had the same, I mean, ever since probably when I was 8 was the first time I decided I wanted to, play music in a band, or, I knew that's what I wanted to do. And even before then, I was very much in love with music. And by the time I was 17, I had this crystal clear vision. It was a third eye vision of playing a role in our collective awakening through my own personal awakening through this gift of music. And it's now I'm 41 years old, and in my mind and my ideas and my ego and all those things, I could think, oh, maybe it's too late to do that, or maybe life wants something else for me now, or whatever it might be. And it's a really funny thing. It seems as though in this form, in this limited form, which I happen to be for now, temporarily, I've come, and I can't avoid it. It doesn't matter if I'm 81 years old or whatever it might be. This is the one thing that is no pun intended, most instrumental in the evolution of my consciousness. And it's the gift that I've been given to share with the world. So we all have our Svadharma, right? Our unique blueprint for our life. It's not like anybody else's. And so it's a really funny thing, because in that way, it's very limited in one sense. And that's the horizontal dimension of who we are, right? That lives in time. It's through that, through the fulfillment of the purpose, from the time we're born till the time we die, that through fulfilling that purpose, we all the more deeply realize that vertical dimension, the timeless dimension, the power of now, all of, so to speak to that part, what I notice that I love it, because this is just something I observe in myself and my experience, is it's as though I see, I know, and again, I know God can be a triggering word for people, but so I lately I've been using the divine more, because that sounds poetic and I like it. And so, but I see the divine in me. I'm not different from that. And as I grow into myself, I become more and more indistinguishable from that. And what I notice is it reminds, there's a William Blake quote that I heard recently that I've really been enjoying, and it says that eternity is in love with the creations of time. And I notice that spiritual dimension of who we are, the eternal reality of who we are, the essential reality of who we are, for whatever reason, I don't know, it loves to create. Look at the universe. Look at the ocean, you know, look at the sky and the stars. It just goes on and on and on. And that it seems as though that there is this utter delight in creation. And so that happens through us because we're not different from life. We don't have our own existence apart from the universe. That would be ridiculous. So we are the universe. The universe is in us. We're a microcosm. It just goes on and on and on. So to me, it's a fun thing to observe that life, for whatever reason, I don't know, it's a mystery to me. It absolutely delights in creation. And so through each of us, there are certain things that want to be birthed through us. And that's our gift, and that's our joy, and our contribution. And in that way, we become like the divine. We become, you know, we realize, we become more in alignment with the cosmic order, the cosmic law, the way, the Tao flows through us, this river of life. And a point comes where, however many times we might think we're a little drop of water, well, we evaporate up, and now we're a cloud, you know, and then now we're a raindrop or a snowflake, and we fall down on the mountaintop, and we melt, and we fall down the river and travel back down to the ocean, and time again, and eventually we come around and we see that we never haven't been the whole thing. You know, we feel isolate, we feel separated, we feel pain and misery, we don't know who we are, we feel limited in who we are. And by, we you know, however many times we need to freeze and melt and drip and drop and come around to go, how could I not be every cloud in the sky? How could I not be the whole ocean of existence? It's impossible. There's show me the place where I end and the ocean begins. And we realize that we become indistinguishable eventually. And so that's life. And it's fun to, you know, blur those lines, you know, where we all become a little bit more indistinguishable from one another, and we recognize the unifying, that which is utterly the same in all of us through all of this, through our unique life paths and the gifts we have to share with one another. So thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Travis. Kelly, you want to wrap it up? We're a field of infinite possibilities, or I'm a field of infinite possibilities. It's almost like an affirmation.
Yeah, well, anytime you say I am, you're recognizing your higher self and your connection to the divine. So that's a very good place to start. Understanding, recognizing our own innate power. When we are still, when we are aligned with our hearts, when we are aligned with the eternal, and we can feel the cosmic ocean and that connection within us. Absolutely. Absolutely. The reality is that our 3D senses like to convince us that we are very limited in this physical form, and we've forgotten how to feel deeper. And the ability to feel deeper and to feel that flow. Travis loved your whole analogy of the rain and the mountain and the evaporation, it is a perfect analogy for looking at and contemplating the nature of reality and the cyclical nature of reality. We live in a 3D reality that is based in limitation, except creation is limitless. So we have this dichotomy that we all feel to one degree or another. And stillness is the key for that, going inside, being present, disidentifying, detaching, observing everything around us. Put on your story about Lakshmi saying that what she is doing is how she is observing every moment, every breath, every space, every particle of existence is an expression of everything else. That includes us. We are made up of trillions of particles that know no limitation except for the belief structure that holds them together. All of those little vibrational bonds of all of our molecules. I mean, I can just like step right into particle physics here right now and quantum mechanics and stuff like that. But that's a whole other ball of wax. The truth is, the universe creation is infinite. And the belief systems are illusions that we were born into as humans, quote, quote, the universe experiencing human existence, is one about evolution, is one about awareness, is one about understanding the flow of that ocean and how our belief systems can evaporate and be recycled, and how our ourselves can come back to re-experience, to relearn, to reconnect, to reaffirm that whole paradigm of all of the cosmic laws, to reaffirm that connection with the cosmos and the cosmic ocean. When we go inside and we listen and we feel and we step back from our limiting beliefs, the moment we do that, we begin to see how many more possibilities there are. And it always comes back to feeling. It always comes back to standing out in the rain or diving deep into that ocean and having the courage to step into that other space, having the courage to feel deeper and to feel beyond our limitations. And the moment we do that, we touch the infinite, we touch the eternal. Every single time. This is why it's so important to understand that it's a process, it's an evolution, and it's all about feeling. And every single time, it's like, listening to great music or even bad music, taking a moment for yourself. Every single time you take a moment for yourself, even if it's just one breath. And that's the really beautiful thing. That's the absolutely amazingly beautiful, stupendous part of all of this, is that it just takes one breath and the courage to feel that space and that breath. And that is why it is so important to connect to our hearts and to let ourselves feel. Because the moment that we do connect with that one moment, it changes everything and lets us feel how I am a field of infinite possibilities.
Thank you so much, Kelly. Beautiful. So it's not so much as when we say I am a field of infinite possibilities, does not mean that I need to do infinite things.
Nope.
Right? Infinite creativity. That one breath that Kelly was talking about, if he took one, as Eckhart says, if he took one conscious breath, that is enough. 2 or 3 is even better. That's what he says, right?
One fully aligned breath, one perfectly fully aligned moment changes your entire reality and changes your entire connection to the eternal infinite. One moment.
There's a person, Tabitha Brown. You all can look her up on YouTube or on Facebook Watch. 3 years back, 2 or 3 years back, I think she turned vegan because of her illness. So whatever, she turned vegan, and she had bought this. I'm hoping everybody out there understand Whole Foods here in America is the one organic store, right? So she had bought this sandwich from 3 years back. She took a video. She bought a sandwich from Whole Foods and she bit into it. And the way she explained the sandwich, right, of what was the vegan bacon on it and how each thing was, she looked around her and she said, the whole world has changed, right? And she says, 3 years back, the moment she said the whole world has changed, it did really change for her, because now she's like, I think she says she's bought 2 or 3 homes. She's like, she has millions of followers on social media. Like, people really love her. Like, people like Steve Harvey. She gets on all these, talk shows and shows her vegan cooking. Not only does she support her channel, Tony Robbins gives her example. So just 1 minute, just like what Kelly was saying, that 1 minute, then Whole Foods hired her to promote their product, I think. She started off with that, and she started making home videos of her vegan cooking. And that just, but she is very expressive. I love, I do follow what Medical Medium has on his recipes, but I do look at her recipes just in case I can incorporate her vegan cooking into what I can cook. But I cannot, a lot of what she cooks is forbidden on the Medical Medium recipe list. So I just watch it just to see her. Like, you can see the amount of presence flowing and how she speaks to the people. Like, the camera and her are one. Like, she is into the camera. That's how comfortable she is with the camera. And she was just like talking about her 3-year-old video is just about a little sandwich from Whole Foods, some vegan, with vegan bacon. I can't even imagine vegan bacon. So I don't do the Boca burger or the vegan bacon or the vegan sausage. I cannot do all the protein. And it is also thankfully forbidden on the Medical Medium list. So it's troublemaker food. Soy is a troublemaker food. Corn, soy, nutritional yeast, vinegar, troublemaker foods. So on that note, I hope everybody was inspired. I do, but when I wake up or sometime during the day, I do go through this 7 list. I have done that for the past 15 years. I do reaffirm the 7 spiritual laws, and I always, I am measuring or calibrating myself to the alignment, how the 6th chakra, which is I'm in alignment and harmony with cosmic law, has been the most important the past 6 years for me. And I've already known where is the alignment taking me. So I'm hoping everyone can use it and use Eckhart's teachings as it applies to these laws. Y'all have been incredible. Honor and a privilege to have all of you here. It is always, always such a moment of grace. Thank you, Eileen, for coordinating all the conversations. I know you're going to drop off, fall asleep. So infinite blessings to everyone. Much love and have a good night. Have a fantastic week. Much love. Bye. Many blessings.